Hello, I'm Barbara Schott. Congratulations to Turnstone Press on turning 45 and supporting so many of us. My chapbook, The Waterlily Pickers, came out with Turnstone Press in 1988 when Turnstone was only 12 years old, and it was one of the last chapbooks that Turnstone produced, along with Margaret Sweatman's Private Property and Laurie Block's collection. I'm going to read a poem from my collection, Memoirs of an Almost Expedition, which was published with Brick Books. And the poem is called Widow's Walk. And for those of you who don't know what a widow's walk is, it's described by Wikipedia as a railed rooftop platform, often having an inner cupola or turret, frequently found on 19th century North American coastal homes. The name is said to come from the wives of mariners who would watch for their spouse's return, often in vain as the ocean took their lives, leaving the women widows. So, Widow's Walk. Even the weather vanes are against me, wings folded, there should be sails on the heart. The sun is my advisor now, stationed behind him, my Triskelion winged lover, recurring like a river. The wind in its haste, discordant in the hollow of my mouth. I have stood in the path of glaciers, snared the sky watching for him, his glacial movements as they bring him that eighth of an inch closer to his wings. The profile seems to be the answer. How can the crescent of a face turn full and round and blank? Is the inside or the outside of the drum the drum? Let's presume he is here, the triptych of his former self, portrait of his voice, still in the labyrinth of his last kiss, I, who have no quarrel with wings. The angles disappear in solstice. I dub in the footsteps, the different settings, secure the risk with a catchphrase. No other way to compare, to leave intact the white of white, the calm of calm. And those who approach are like generations of water, and sound is shape. The sail source of the hollow heart fills a hollow. Misperception of time, time again, and travel, a subclause that reads something like this. The next poem I chose to read was published in Prairie Fire magazine, and I just thought it was particularly fitting in these times of extreme heat and drought and plague. It's called The Ecology of Prayer. The epigraph is from Matthew 24, verse 35. Heaven and earth will disappear, but my words remain forever. Sky falls, fails, the words that come are not all mine. The land held together with hydropoles and wire, weary world, where burrowing owl borrows gopher holes, grid of landlocked brain, a map of furrows, probe the drenched fields. In the grip of flickering hawk, stalks dwindling water, circles and holes, its own splayed shadow. Fielding wind and draft, the tail rudder steers the clean sweep. Oh, how treacherous is need, living off the land, a life of vision and morsels, seeing and seeding, reaping and replete. Earth to seed, and a bone for a bone. Resemble and understand, I wasn't always immersible, or thoughtless, rooting, teething in the fragile air in my travels from window to window. Remember when young was a time of flesh, before the world entered and gave you comparisons and convictions. Who amongst you does not burrow out of sorrow, out of joy, find where the shoulder blade lies buried and stay there? Work a wing, with blade of shoulder plow a sacred line, a humble quarter section, seed the land that seeds itself, wild oats, indigenous grass, and tire civilizations of marmots and ants. And failing that, pray hail does not find us. Pray in the hands of hawk, the grain of grain and muscle, my discomfort, the bird's comportment, trained eyes strain. These are the gentlest of quarantines that have been visited upon me. You could spare me this bird of bone, stray man in the midst of field, the monotonous rounds, my body and your lands, unbeknownst the dying shade, radial symmetry of sun burning us into existence and extinction, finding the stranger amongst us. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Jan Horner, and I've published 3 books of poetry with Turnstone Press: Recent Mistakes, Elizabeth Went West, and Mama Dada, Songs of the Baroness's Dog. And I'm going to read a couple of poems in honor of Turnstone Press's first 45 years of publishing and promoting poetry. Yay! May it live long and prosper. And I want to dedicate this reading to Bukayo Saka. The first poem I'm going to read is from Elizabeth Went West, and I chose it because it's the time of year when we're thinking of going to the beach or the lake or the cottage, and it seemed appropriate, although this poem is set in late summer, early fall. This is called The Housewife Escapes. Solitude and company, the boats promise, and the sky in darkness lightens, despite cloud, a trick of staying out past sundown, like children heedless of night's menace, their eyes adjusted, see longer, more, and with night cover, the cruiser, old and shabby, revives its stereo, lights, palatial prow. Its deck a stage for dancing, the Labrador, in her sleek coat, white and wagging in the thick of it, knows a good time. Can we speak freely? A little drunk with boyish men, amid the astonished trees, abandoned cottages, fading sun. What in this revisits childhood, even if brief and not exactly right? Boasting, teasing, guards down in the dark. They could be distant cousins, but not fathers, aunts. Is it booze that keeps suggesting in another life she could love this place, this living, a gruff-voiced man? Her freedom to pretend she has never coveted a vagabond's adventure, a faithless man. A license to see the box of her house, the canopied streets, her self-cleaning oven, a contract, and all of her choosing. Buoyant islands loom. Fueled perception brings close the heavens, the engorged moon. A stray beam catches, in her clothes, bringing her to night-gathered sleep, enclosed, warm, with trains whistling by, taking goods, raw materials, baggage, a lust to wander, back and forth through the continent's heart. The second poem I'm going to read is from Mama Dada, which is a book that's really centered around the character of Baroness Elsa von Freytag-Lorenhoven, who was an avant-garde artist and poet who lived in New York City in the first decade or so of the 20th century, and who hobnobbed with people like Marcel Duchamp, Man Ray, and the poet William Carlos Williams. And one of the things that she did that was out there was to construct a poem entirely of advertising slogans, which today might not seem that avant-garde, but in 1910 it very much was. So, and this poem I'm going to read is a response to Elsa's advertising poem, and it's called Extraordinary Food for Extraordinary Dogs. And there's an F-graph from the Baroness. No dosing, just rub it on. One world revolves around you. Where do you want to go today? What if there were a magic box? Think where it would take you. Drivers wanted. Say yes, it's all within your reach. The right technologies right now. Could your heart use an extra 20 valves? The ultimate driving machine? Someday all watches will be made like this. I searched Europe to find secrets of beautiful hair, old taste from the old place. And what will you be in the next 24 hours? News that stays news? Nothing tastes better from thought to finish. Extraordinary food for extraordinary dogs. Elegance is an attitude. If a radio were turned on, this page would be in color. This isn't scented, unless you smell the future. Sometimes you need a little finesse. Go ahead, get dirty. Reach out and touch someone. Take what you want, because you're worth it. It's the real thing. Be extra direct. Ordinary dogs, just do it. So thank you for listening, and thanks to Turnstone.